I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon, and I want to say, I feel like the student in me is back who feels that sense of nervous energy sitting in between so many principals. So, totally that feeling that comes back. But, we've been discussing literally every aspect of education in India since this morning. The many, many stories that have come out of the challenges, of how we navigate from AI to matrix, social inclusion. And which is why I come to my first question, especially in the time that we are in, because we continue to say that this is a transitional phase and the next 5 years are very critical. What does nation building through education truly mean in today's India? You'd like to go
first? Thank you so much for having me here. One wonderful opportunity and occasion to meet like-minded educators. The question that has been put is for this roundtable is one of our collective destiny. This is what I believe. And from times immemorial, we know that societies which have identical, cultural inheritances or resources, or even things like resources only, these have often diverged. And the difference, there could be many reasons. Obviously, these are complex reasons, but one difference which almost always emerges is how the societies have educated the young ones, the youth, and how are the citizens coming out from the universities of learning. So we believe that universities and colleges are the places of moral apprenticeship, where character or conscience of the society is forged. We can call it a crucible where character, capability, and commitment for a common good are all forged together. So these 3 points which have been highlighted in the theme are really what matter for the building of the nation. So when I say character, I would say that it is the one which ensures that capability serves the common good. Because a brilliant mind, there could be really many, many brilliant minds, but without any civic bearings would be not only ineffective, they could be dangerous also. And so character building is very important. Character cannot be taught in a lecture or by exhortation alone. It is cultivated through lived experiences, experiences which help them nurture teamwork, stewardship, differences, how to negotiate differences, especially in universities and colleges where we call it, all our colleges are like mini Indias with such diverse backgrounds in the form of culture, in the form of languages, social backgrounds, etc. And then we must bring actually all the students from such diversity into a sustained intellectual fellowship through which they can learn how to disagree without discord and to value diversity as strength. This kind of civic temperament or humility, mutual respect is the first line of defense for democracy. Similarly, small actions, small exercises of stewardship can teach large lessons. I can just give an instance that there's a group of students in the college which decided to refurbish hardware, waste hardware, which we were condemning and we were trying to give it away. They've refurbished it into upgradation for laptops. About 200 such laptops were upgraded by these set of students to, what is the takeaway of this? This technical learning has been combined with the idea or the habit of reuse and institutional care. This is is a concrete act of, I would say, character, where the preference is being given to reuse rather than discard, to share rather than hoard. So all these things, plus, of course, all of us have societies and we have several groups of students where we can, give you examples of how they feel responsible towards the planet, how they would like to exercise virtues of empathy, and some, many are such examples. So of course, capability is the other thing that we feel is how raw talent can be converted into national solutions in the form of jobs, in the form of innovations, public solutions, etc. Requires specialized knowledge of your discipline, as also you must be having multi-dimensional intelligence. This is the demand of the time. So skill development, what Vineet Joshi ji said just before us, is how are we implementing those aims or those targets is through things like skill development centers. Many colleges have, our college also has, and this is again coming from the University of Delhi with seed grants which could be even bigger, but it's a good start, I would say. And from there, we have seen alignment of technical literacy to national priorities like Make in India, Skill India, commitment to net zero future through trainings like in green hydrogen training or in green processes training, small entrepreneurship efforts which are being done for the agriculture industry like plant tissue culture, mushroom cultivation, all of these things. So these are, and of course for the governance angle we have public policies in action. These are the things. And AI, of course, everybody is talking about AI. So how can I miss that? Yes. It would be making me feel so, in a way, illiterate or uneducated. Right. But all these things slowly are picking up, and the students, that is the wealth of brains that we have, and those students are trying to, have a hand on everything. So I feel it's a responsibility of higher education system to expose them to all of these things, and they are able to pick and finally do well for us, for the nation, and everyone.
Right, but while all of that are our advantages, again, the key question of how character and ethics are taught in the classroom, or are they shaped largely outside of formal education?
Thank you so much. I think when we talk about character building, all three sets are important. You have to have good knowledge sets, skill sets, and most importantly, a mindset. Allow me to share one of the case studies which is from the Harvard Business School, and it's about the Taj terror. The day the terrorists had struck the Taj, there were several of the employees who were there within the Taj while the terrorists were attacking. They knew all the exits. They could have easily gone, saved their lives, and evidence showed that not one employee left the Taj. They were there to help all those people who were trapped inside. And therefore, at a later point in time, when the question came up, that when you can see death on your face and yet you stand there, what is it? People then thought, and it is Professor Deshpande's study, that probably we are embedded with Atithi Devo Bhavo, but it is not just that. It's not just in the hospitality industry that you have certain guests whom you're going to take care of. Ultimately, the virtues which came up and the kind of the hiring policies which were there with the Taj were the true factors which reflected how they were picking up. And they were not necessarily going to the metros. They were going to cities next to the metros. They were trying to pick up students who had benefit of elders and youngsters also living in the same home, so that they're able to be more adjusting, adaptability with a positive attitude. And of course, there's a lot more in understanding how do you give back to the society. Unfortunately, many of us think of education as a tool, which of course allows you to say that this is not the way my life will end. And in this path, we think about only the monetary aspect of the education. This is a very short-term path, because ultimately, from the perspective of a nation, if you have to be a new true nation builder, money contribution as a productive aspect towards GDP is only a small aspect. But very well said, you have to have something in your character which will reflect that whatever growth you are aspiring for, whether it is within, which is coming from your own self-control and happiness, supplemented with the external environment, because your health systems are also going to be impacted. And certainly no particular institute is enough to give you that mindset or that ethical or grounded values. The whole support system, it could be even the people who are coming to your home to help you, the staff that is working for you, and also the people whom you're working for. The whole ecosystem is important, and every lesson learnt is to be remembered. And I will conclude by from where you started. You said, oh my God, how am I feeling with 3-4 principals to whom? Imagine us, we are also learning. We are waiting for the question which is going to be put up to us. So remaining a learner also, I think, is so important, because if we might have faltered at one place, but if our thinking process is correct and we want to see the half glass neither as filled with water, nor the half which is empty, but we want to see it full, because half is with water, half is with air. That perspective and mindset needs to be changed, I think. That's important.
No, ma'am, absolutely. I agree with you. And, you know, when there is a Hindu pass out or an SRCC pass out, for example, there is the reason that that pass out or that student is looked at differently, because it is the institution that you passed out from, and it is automatically believed that the institution is passing on the learnings in a manner that enhances your character, which helps in nation building, and that is by the preference when you go out there and present yourself in the world. But I want to come to my next question, if you could take that, ma'am, on how should schools and universities balance moral education without slipping into moral policing or ideology, given how we are proud of the diversity that India has?
So, first of all, congratulations to India Today for convening an all-women panel on education. I think it's a rarity in the world, so we should celebrate that for a minute. I want to start from the first question you asked, is what is education today? So, you know, there's a very interesting anecdote in one of Tagore's novels, where two friends are discussing what is India. So one person is saying, you know, you talk a lot about India, what is it? And this person is describing that to him, it is like when a young sailor, very nervous, doesn't know which way the ship is sailing, is on the sea, very excited, doesn't know where the shore is, but needs to know which direction he is going. So he takes out his compass from time to time and just checks, am I going in the right direction? So that is education, where you are not, and especially today, where we are not afraid of embracing the sea, the waves, the uncertainty, the change, but we have the pole star. We often are asking ourselves, which direction am I going? Is this the right direction? So your answer to the question of moral education is the same, that what we teach fundamentally about morality or character should be this ability for the person to question, am I going in the right direction? And not simply chase some goals which have been given by society or given by the world or given by anybody, but be self-aware and always raise the question, where am I going? And that is the job of institutions also. You gave the example of how, you know, students from certain institutions are looked at in certain ways. So if we could make all institutions have that aura, that a student with higher education in India or school education in India knows the compass and is not afraid to ask, what direction am I going? Then we would have served that purpose. Thank you.
But I want to narrow this down also to say that, you know, with every passing generation, students and the manner in which they conduct themselves, what they ask is changing. Students now are a lot more opinionated, aware, given the advent of technology. How much of a free hand does the institution give them there, or kind of bring them back? Again, to say that, now students sometimes move on from classrooms to present their point of view, to stage protests. Is that citizenship in action or learning interrupted? How do you look at it?
Just wanted a clarification. What exactly you want me to talk about, the kind of information overload that we have, is how the students are handling? Is that what you're asking?
That, and when they step out to take that talk in a certain direction, because there is a lot of talk about how education institutions should only stay restricted to education and students should not go out and become activists. How do institutions look at that?
Thank you. To begin with, I must thank and congratulate the India Today for holding this much awaited education conclave. Now, as far as the educational institution's role is concerned in terms of how do we handle the diversity of the thoughts that the students may have, one, the role of educational institution is to build the capacity to think, and in a very responsible manner. They tomorrow want to become an activist, but if in a very responsible manner, we give them that freedom. In a democratic setup that we have in our country, it percolates down in every educational institution. Freedom to debate, freedom to respect the views of others is what is actually given by way of education to them. So in our institutions, we encourage this kind of a thing happening. And we are also opening up their mindsets to not just going for a job, okay, but creating other, or looking at the other opportunities that come their way. It could be by way of public policy. It could be the NGOs that they could work in. So those aspects are actually encouraged in every educational institution, and more so in the public institutions which are funded. See, at least out of the 4, I can see the 3 of us come from a public funded setup. And if that excellence is coming in these, through these public funded institutions, it's a great social equalizer. And what more can a nation building example be given when we see 3 of the public funded institutions, and we 3 are all awardees in our own ways. So this is, these public funded institutions do provide for diversity of thought. And we encourage through debates, through the freedom that we give them to express themselves. And that is how they carry it forward by becoming anything that they wish to. Let me just share my own experience from my own college. I mean, it's a college of business studies. But you would be surprised that over the years, over the last 39 years, we've had Miss India, we've had filmmakers, we've had IPS officers, we've had people going in the armed forces. Now, this is one that is road the least traveled. However, most of them are going into the corporates, becoming the CEOs. So this diversity, where they want to go, I'm not yet sure about how many of my students, the alumni, became activists. I'm not yet sure of that. I don't have the data. But certainly, that freedom is given to them to choose their path.
And, talking about the overload of information that we were just discussing, that you touched upon, in the age of social media, a lot of misinformation, polarization, what should be the role of the education institutions in shaping responsible citizens?
Yeah, so this is the era of huge information. It's an overload, as you yourself said very correctly. The way we look at it is that it is our duty to definitely make, help them filter out things. And by filtration, I mean they are also in ages which, they can be molded still. And you can give them good exposure through making certain other things available. Like, for example, as I spoke about AI, this is the most talked of concept and being experienced in various ways. There's the downside of it and there's the upside of it. So downside is what is being mostly talked of, and that we see in classrooms, chat GPTs, or some really wrong usage of AI through those objectionable, ways of hallucinations and all those other concepts which I'm also still not very well aware of. But as a college, as institutions that we are, we can strengthen this part through giving them the various avenues by which AI can be used in the right sense for the humanity, for society, etc. And then they can understand the good side of it and start contributing towards the AI ecosystem. Similarly, like I said about public policy, and we in our college are now in the process of making an AI lab. We have been given the grant, etc. And very soon, in a couple of months, we will be doing a series of such AI interventions in various disciplines. Our college has got, of course, 18 disciplines, so we would be very hopeful that we are able to make some use of it. Similarly, in public policy, that is again a very much, the favorite sort of area for the students of social sciences and otherwise also. We are putting them into immersion programs, taking them to the heart of rural India to be able to see how policies are getting converted and translated into lives and how they are transforming them in the myriad challenges that the country has. So information will obviously, they are in an era where it's on the palm and not even on the palm now. But how to harness it and keep competing. The teachers need to be learning one step more than the students, and then have an interaction of that nature which enables a good synergy and a progress, an investment of the nation on the students. Very rightly, expectations are to have a public, spirited return. So all these things will be possible.
Okay, ma'am, to understand from you, do rankings, placements, and fees sometimes contradict the idea of inclusive nation building?
Come again, please.
Do rankings, placements, fees come in the way of inclusive nation building? We were talking even earlier in the previous sessions that, while we talk about inclusion in every manner, but we also have the parameters, the metric parameters on which we are judging the students. So while it is about getting the best of every student, but the numbers do come in.
I think I will speak on, as a generalized economist, there is no index which is a complete index. We try to put up a parameter which is trying to capture several aspects. It could be an index which is based upon sustainable development, human development. You call what it is, but ultimately there are going to be pros and cons to any index. Therefore, to institutions like us, such rankings should be always looked upon as a direction, as an indicative of what it is, rather than actually measuring out something which is very quantitative and numeric in number. I stand here as one of the top colleges, so somewhere the numbers did speak up that it is a good college because things are there. But very often there are so many intangibles which are often one is unable to capture with indexation. Also, it's important to understand whether we are comparing apples with lemons or lemons with lemons. And this indexation process, again, cannot do. So, but what is the right method? Even if you go with the QS ranking, ultimately there have to be a set of parameters only on which you are going to do so. And since we've had something on AI, I'll just give an example of how it doesn't get reflected in the short run. An institution like ours, in the past 4 months, I think we've worked immensely in the area of AI. When World Economic Forum states that in the next 10 years, information and misinformation is going to be one of the top risks. informing our students about this is important. We've done international conferences outside of India. We've done conferences within India, outside of Delhi, in collaboration with some of the outside universities. We've also collaborated with the ministries and done such conferences. But the moment you look into a quantitative number as in an ranking, it's not going to be reflected at least on that particular year. And the other years may not capture the data that has been done this year. But I still respect all the institutions which are going forward for having the ranking. But the colleges which are unable to get a very good rank, there is an example from somewhere, some of us who are sitting here. You may be doing very well in NAC, but it may not be getting reflected in another parameter. You may be doing very well in India today, it's not getting reflected elsewhere. It's still an evolution, and I hope we are going to move in the right direction. And to each one of us across who's not even there on the top parameters, this is an important index to understand where your gaps are. Work towards them without taking it so very closely to your heart that this is right or this is wrong, because giving one number to a beautiful institution sometimes can get a little wrong.
I want to talk about so much and a list of questions that are right here, but it says time up. So given the paucity of time, we'll have to wrap this session right here. It's been wonderful conversing with all of you. And like I said, this is such a wide topic that your opinions are so important when it comes to nation building. Thank you so much.